which is faster than anything Rafter has served up, but of course Rafter uses a lot of spin. Yes.
Well, this is where Rafter will be quite delighted with missed first serves, or even first serves that don't punish. New balls, gets that little bit extra, not only on the drives, but also on the slice, should it arise.
Ooh, no, surely not. That's on the line. And Mantilla knows it's on the line, and they're going to have to replay the point after all that.
Well, if it's as good a point as this one, then we'll all enjoy it.
Replay point. 15 pari.
Acknowledgement by Rafter of Mantilla's sportsmanship.
Well, suddenly the Rafter forehand in particular making inroads.
15-30.
Great bit of motoring by him, really. If he can get the break here, start serving again, just keep the pressure on. Mantilla last year 10th in the world at winning points behind his second serve. Of course, most of it is done with dogged determination from the back of the court, not punishing serves.
Well done, Mantilla.
I think it's the first time we've seen the wind actually playing a role down here. We have seen finals. I think it was the year Muster won, where the court was, one of the years Muster won, perhaps the last, where the court was just bereft of sand. The wind took all the sand off it, and it actually played almost like a hard court. But it seemed in that game there that particularly that last backhand of Rafter's was held up by the wind. Seems to me blowing against Rafter.
Serving for the set. Yes, 96, wasn't it? Must have won here for the last time. Krajcek in the final from memory.
Yes.
97 Korecha, 98 Rios, the champions.
30-0.
Oh, beautifully done. 3 set points.
Well, in a position of real luxury here, having driven Mantilla back, he knew that he had plenty of time, and if he played it just ordinarily, he'd win the point.
40-15. 40-15.
Slightly more different and difficult volley for the backhander, that into out volley. Cross court, much more of a formality.
Superb serve right on to the service line, and after 34 minutes, Rafter wraps up the opening set. 6-3, just the one break decided it.
Well, Rafter inevitably a fairly high serve percentage because he's taking a lot of pace off the serve in order to be able to get in close against Lepenti serving at 65%. And the unforced errors, well, I can certainly remember 2 from Mantilla, even though Rafter may have more, that were pretty important. The one smash and the one volley, the one where Rafter was volleying, where all Mantilla needed to do was push the forehand back into court. Those will have hurt.
The points won, and of course here we get the lovely contrast between the serve and volleyer pushing forward. Look at those red spots for Rafter, the places where he spends most time, a lot of them inside the service line. Mantilla, well, when he's winning points, is getting a little further forward, and you'll notice that Rafter's red spots are all congregated way behind the baseline on his backhand side. So Mantilla's got to keep Rafter away from the net. Easier said than done, of course. Plenty for Mantilla to ponder. I was talking to Tony Roach the other day and saying, well, what would it mean to Australia and Australian tennis to have Rafter at #1? There hasn't been an Australian #1 since John Newcombe in, what, 20 plus years ago. Tony was fairly phlegmatic about it. He said, well, it's very nice, but Grand Slams are more important.
Yes, I suppose that's true. On the other hand, it really depends what the press makes of it. They could build it up into a huge thing, in which case, of course, it would be inspirational for youngsters in Australia.
Second set.
The problem with the #1 spot of late, of course, is that it's been shuffled around to such an extent that it's pretty short-lived, or has been for some.
Yes, he'd be the 4th man to hold the ranking this year. Second ace from Mantilla. Sampras, of course, started at #1, lost it to Moyer in Indian Wells, and got it back a couple of weeks later. Kavalnikov came along.
Well, Mantilla throwing that ball pretty low on the serve, but did well to get a fair amount of kick. It fell very short in the box, probably just a little too short for Rafter to really get hold of.
Well, the first set started with a love game, and so does the second. This time, of course, though, it goes to Mantilla. We'll be back after this.
the biggest names in women's tennis and the biggest names in men's are burning up the red dust. Some are choking, some are turning it to gold. From the Super Nines of Hamburg and Rome, right through to the big one in France, Roland Garros, on clay, Eurosport is going all the way. Here's a competition for all tennis fans. What surface is the French Open played on? Grass, hardcourt or clay? Each week with Eurosport you could win one of 20 officially licensed Roland Garros PC games. Telephone your answers now. And good luck.
Welcome back. Well, Sunhat's still out. As you can see, there are some shadows. It's, some sprinkles of rain, although I think, if anything, it's stopped now. And Rafter, 1-2 down, second set having won the first.
Overall, he had a pretty good percentage of first serves won against Lepenti, even though he was so close to defeat that. Won 49 of 62 points on his first serve, about 5/6.
Yes, today it's so far 21 out of 26. I think the huge difference is yesterday he was missing some very simple volleys. I can't remember him missing a volley that I thought he should have made today.
No, certainly not an important one anyway. Well, that's the sort of tennis that will undoubtedly remind the Italians of Panatta's play. Nicola Pietrangeli also involved with the management here, and not quite the destructive player that Panatta could be. A wonderful ground stroker.
Well, he looked terribly uncomfortable when he hit that shot, but it worked. Totally off balance, falling away from it. But the backhand cross-quarters worked well. Adriana Panatta featured in a notorious match, 78 final I think it was, against Bjorn Borg, where Borg at the end of the fourth set said, if you keep pelting me with lira coins, I'm off. They did, and he won.
You mean he'd have accepted notes, not coins?
Yes.
Fill my satchel if you will. Now, this is such neat play by Rafter, because so often the stop volley will go cross-court. You can see where Mantilla's legs were headed. He was going up to play a forehand, he thought.